Can we jump in? Is that all right?
Absolutely.
You're going to learn about me anyway. It's on the slide. We don't work for LinkedIn. It's to be really obvious that we don't work for LinkedIn. This is Lori and I. We train together or individually. It's a faster program when we train individually, because we get into a lot of things, a lot of stories, a lot of examples back and forth. Lori works with clients doing hands-on stuff, for you services, it's called. I write profiles, you know, in that general principle. I do sales training, and the combination of this stuff kind of goes back and forth. The big things to notice here, 30,000, that's the maximum number of connections on LinkedIn. There's about 40 people in the world that are at that level. And Lori and I are two of them. We're the only couple in that category at all.
He's the only man on the Forbes Top 50 list who was not only dated but engaged to him.
I was engaged to another former
30,000
person. Forbes, yes, I know. My life is kind of interesting. I like social media. Lori and I are both on this list called the Forbes Social Media Power Influencers. So we were just at this conference in New York City. Got to go to New York for the first time in my life. Surrounded by super mind sort of people, the Forbes people, the Huffington Post breakfast, all this sort of stuff. But I don't fit in with these people, and they're going like, you know, who are these other people? Everyone's kind of going, who are the other people out there? Well, the social media world out there makes it a whole lot easier to find out who the heck they are. Just log online, his name's Ted Rubin. I go look at Ted Rubin, I go, oh my gosh, I know all about him now. It's really, really easy if you go like, who are these people? And you can find out, and then you can do some really quick work like on your iPhone. I'm a master at looking stuff up on the iPhone, but you got to get the exact spelling. Where was it, the exact spelling? Because there's a lot of ways to spell O'Neill, for example. We've written some books. We've done a few things. So you remember this one, don't you?
Yeah, still have it.
That's our LinkedIn profile book. Came out a couple years ago. And since then, Jeffrey Gitomer is a big time author and stuff. We wrote some stuff for his book, and you're going to see what some multimedia looks like. We've taken a lot of the things that we know about LinkedIn in our program, put them into little video lessons, and those video lessons are there, so we don't have to cover it here. How to put the ands and the ors and the quotes to do the deep search stuff is in a lesson out here that you can go learn later, and we don't have to cover it now, because frankly it just doesn't work out real well in a real-time environment to do some of these things. I'm from Minnesota, the land of walleyes. I went to ASU. I'm Sun Devil. Went to Colorado, was there for 20 years, and I'm back in Minnesota again. I'm a caregiver, so I'm not caregiving right now. Someone's covering for me. But I moved from Denver, best place in the world to live, if you ask me, back to Minnesota to help take care of my parents. And I got mom and dad up on Facebook, so they're kind of occupied while I'm gone. And mom has yet to put a picture up. I'm going, Mom, you got to have a picture up on Facebook. Got to. Because I don't know, I don't have the right picture. So I put pictures up on her timeline, all kinds of pictures I wanted to have, but she doesn't have a picture of them. I'm into concerts and cars, you know, so there's going to be little analogies of this stuff. I'm also an old school person, old school. I started out doing network engineering at big companies, and yes, that's 2 floppies. 10 function keys right over here, DOS 1.1. That's my first job. And I would take these things and I'd hook them up to mainframes. Put a card in it with a coax cable and it becomes a terminal. Is a PC the ultimate terminal? You can do anything you want with it. I can be like this. I can download stuff right on into Excel, and it's like I'm connected to the mainframe. Except the mainframes really aren't there anymore. Things were really cool. Look at these companies I got to work with and for. Some things happened. Remember? Ring a bell. Where's Bernie Ebbers now? Does that name ring a bell? Joe Naccio? Does the company WorldCom ring a bell? Quest? Their C-level executives are all in jail, and they're going to, one of them are going to die in jail. Bernie Ebbers isn't going to live long anyway. I mean, he was going to, who knows? So the industry kind of tanked, and I became, well, I got involved in LinkedIn. So I'm going to today's program, like we talked about, is me training you here today, plus this online stuff. So Don't worry about taking detailed notes about how to do something. Take notes on what to do if you have to take notes. Okay? Well, let's get started. The big deal about LinkedIn is its culture. It's a B2B culture. Most social media is thought of as not B2B. What's the opposite of that, or the complement? This is consumer. Insurance could be consumer, could be either, right? So, and also if you're a consumer, if you work for a big company, you're a consumer of other goods and stuff too. I mean, I buy these things, but I work there. So they do intermix quite a bit. But most people think of this kind of stuff with social media, don't they? You know, I gotta see the video, you know, I gotta like it and all that. Sorry, LinkedIn's really not that way. LinkedIn's more like a database, and it can be kind of boring. I'll make it sexy for you a little bit. But it's like floppies and DOS, you know, I mean, you know, C:\\/ is not real sexy, but the little pictures and icons are. Right? So we'll do the icon version of stuff. So I'm going to tell you what LinkedIn is all about. It's about a number of things from a number of different perspectives. You know what? I just remembered we are not getting the whole treatment today. Here we go.
Mountain Dew, right?
Part of the brand.
Right.
We have all these pictures of me up here on the stage and stuff with a Mountain Dew can sitting in a good spot. Alright. You want to get a sponsor someday? We can make a bunch of pictures. Let me tell you what LinkedIn's about. So, you know, it's about you as a person. The LinkedIn has a profile, and that's what it was all about. It used to only be about that. And they've added these other things, these groups and companies and all those sorts of things, but LinkedIn itself inherently is still about people. And how you look really matters, because, you know, how you look depends on whether they call or not. The people that see your page are great. We want impressions and all, but we want them to call, we want them to act. And they're more likely to act if you pop off the screen. You know, a red tie in a black and white environment pops off the screen. Wear a Pink Floyd shirt. So, you know, I wore a bright white shirt here today to stick out, but I normally wear that. And I hear, you know, what's that one where I gave up my hair to get something for you, and you gave up that for me, and then we ended up, you're in the Pink Floyd shirt, and I'm in the white shirt, and it should be the opposite, shouldn't it? I have quite a few of those. The next thing is it's about your company. If your company has a presence out there, and you know, it can look good, or it can look less so. Or it can look like nothing at all if it doesn't exist. So it can be worse to look bad than not to be there at all, right? Can it? You know, rather you didn't show up at all than show up not ready for work. So other things. It's about other people, right? Well, LinkedIn is about connecting people, and the people kind of around them become part of your network. You know, my peeps become your peeps. For the most part, I'm going to talk about business development. Is this all right? We can't cover all the topics. I can't show you how to get a job. It's not. We don't teach that. These things are very good for those sort of things, but we teach business development, how to make money, how to keep your job, how to hire more people, push things out. So this is, we talked about teams a little bit in the primary thing. Let me talk about how your employees can become brand ambassadors. I have 40 sales reps. I have 40 brand ambassadors. They have 40 accounts, and those 40 accounts have so many people they're connected to, and when I put the word out, it gets out. You see how that is? Just kind of, it can happen really easy, because, you know, LinkedIn has adopted a bunch of these functions like Facebook, the little like buttons. So you can just like something, and all these people in your network can see something that corporate fed to you. Corporate puts this message out, so we got this cool golf tournament with celebrities coming in town. My employees can just go like it, and then my whole network out here can see it all over, and it just becomes this big mushroom cloud. Does that sound good? Did I say it's free? LinkedIn's free. Let's start with that, okay? There's no sell here. You could pay $20 a month, $200 a year, and you might get a lot out of it. But the incremental bit you get out of it versus how much you get for free is out of this world in proportion. The stuff you get for free is just amazing. Okay, so companies have now this presence on LinkedIn. It's not called a profile, it's called a page, okay? So in Facebook, you've got profiles for people and pages for companies, and LinkedIn, you got profiles for people and pages for companies. They kept it consistent. Is that good?
Yes.
Good for me. Because when it's not, it's a problem. You always find someone's correcting you. No, didn't you mean to say? Didn't you mean to say? Okay. Now, a company page is kind of like a profile. It's going to have keywords in it. You know, if you put in golf tournament, you should find me. The word golf tournament and golf tournaments, golfers, golfing, golfed. Think of all the things you can do. What's another slang for golf? Slang for golf? That's not one that's really got a lot of slang.
No, I was going to say.
Golf is golf,
Golf
right?
is a 4-letter word, so
Really?
there's not a lot of.
There you go.
That's what people say, though. I mean,
I have
golf
experience. I managed a driving range at a golf course when I was 18 years old. I was just back from engineering school, first year of engineering school. And I was not a good one. It's complex. You're dealing with 14-year-olds who have to go fetch balls and drive carts and get them stuck in the mud and then smash them up and then mess with the rev limiters on them so that they hop them up, and then the wrong customers get an unlimited golf cart that goes zooming away and they go all crazy. I'm familiar with little 14-year-old stuff that happens in golf tournaments. Anyway, LinkedIn company pages out here have your employees showing up on them. So if you think of the home page on LinkedIn, the home page on your website, they're kind of similar. In fact, you're going to kind of see how that is. Now when you go to the company page, the company presence on LinkedIn, you're going to want to see your employees show up there. Here's my employees, and I have 40 employees on LinkedIn. I should have 40 showing up. And in most cases, you'll have 40 and 5 or 10. Almost everyone. You could go to Sprint or HP, and it's the same thing. If you don't know exactly how to do it and haven't gone back to do it, you're not connected. It's kind of like I work for some other company called Hewlett-Packard. You know, it could be HP, might be Heinzman Pickard instead. So let me show how that works a little bit. This is a website. This is a company called Megapad. You know, a website has a header, has some navigation on it, a logo, some content below it. Okay, kind of simple phone number, right? Go back and look at your websites and see if you got a phone number on the homepage. Just see. Make a little note to self. I'll just leave it at that. Some of you will find that you don't have it and you thought you did. Okay, next part. Does this kind of look similar? You got a header, you got some navigation, and over here you've got employees listed. Well, you can have a button on a website that would say "See our team." Haven't you seen that before? Well, this is just a variation on it a little bit, except here you can go click, boom, and go right to the profiles of all of my employees, to see my customer service managers, to see whoever else I have that can help you. Pretty simple. You can do that here. It's done for you here, though. And it's all on page. It's all on LinkedIn. These items down here are status updates. They're like news posts. They're like a, what's up? Well, we got this tournament going on. Golf's always got something new, right? You always got to push something down because the next one comes up. Who has a lot of news? Do you have a... Who's got news? Let's see. Insurance, not a lot of news. Is there?
Well, health insurance.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. I didn't know. Tons of news.
Financial advisors too, there's tons of stuff.
Okay? So if you think about how that stuff, how I could turn it into the tip of the day kind of principle, just kind of be thinking about that. Social media is very much about content, about little snippets of stuff you can read, not the PDFs and stuff, just just enough to kind of read, while the light's changing at the car. Oh, honk! Oh, I'm sorry, it was too long of a story apparently. All right. So they're very similar. Once again, websites could be free or not. This is free. You can't spend money on a company presence on LinkedIn. There's no premium service. Can't do anything there. So let's break it down a little bit. I'll kind of show you what the pieces are. Your website, your company page is going to have company information. It's like a couple paragraphs on what the company is about. Just like you put on the front page of your home page. It kind of says, we do this for these people, and this is how we service. This is what makes us great. That kind of stuff. We mentioned the employees, and the employees have to, on their profiles, type in the company name right to get it to show up. And in fact, when they go to type in the company name, it'll appear from a drop-down list. Have you noticed social media's got all you start to type something and before long the list comes up? Google does it. It thinks it knows what you're searching for. And they do. Aren't they kind of right? Do you kind of see it eventually, what you want kind of appears? Happens all over here too. I showed you what updates were. And when people follow a page, it's like a like, you follow a page, those updates come into your stream, and then you can like them or comment on them, they come to you. You don't have to go to company pages to find out what's going on. That information comes to you. It's like a feed.
I have a question. How do you get people in LinkedIn to put you as one of their groups or their companies that they follow? Are you going to talk about that?
Let's talk about it now.
Okay.
This is kind of the section to do it.
Okay.
Well, you got to get them to go there in the first place.
Okay.
So you got to get them to visit it, because that's where the button to follow is. You can't, there's no external follow button that you can do. So what we're talking now is, how do I drive traffic to my page? And that's a lot like, well, it opens up a lot of cans of worms or a lot of opportunities. If I have a newsletter, I can send messages to the people in my network. I can post things in places and say, click here. Let me give you one really great tip for this though. The URLs to go to your page can be kind of, sometimes a little long. In the case of LinkedIn, they actually have the name of your company. So ours is linkedin.com/company/integrated-alliances. Not bad, it's still kind of long. So there's in places around our company, we do something like buy a domain called followiA.com. We have joinia.com to join, and IA is Integrated Alliances. But it's short, right? And it's kind of simple. And it just redirects to there. You buy it here, you spend $10, and you say, instead, when people type this in, point them over there. And when it says join, you get the idea where you're going, right? You're not going to go buy. If it said buy IA, then you know what it's going to do. But it's to join. Okay? Or to follow. So followgolf.com would redirect to your page there. But you got to give them, certainly the updates that you put there, once they get there, they got to decide they're going to push the follow button, and that's where your updates and your employees showing out there provide some value to them. If you don't have nice graphics, if you're not taking care of things, a website with a bad banner or no banner is not as, not as incentive to go back to, right? I mean, you just kind of think that they're not paying attention to it, so neither will I. On the other hand, things can look a whole lot better when they get a little sexy, and there's a lot that can be done with company pages that I don't have time to get into here. But quickly, if you're from Texas, you can come to my page and see a message that's from Texas. You get the banner for Texans. And if you're from New York and you come to my company page, I can give you a banner that says, I love New Yorkers. Okay? If you are this, you get fed that. If you are that, you get fed this. And that's some of the kind of back behind-the-scenes stuff, fancy stuff Lori does with company pages. For the most part, you have extra landing pages there for your products and services. If you have jobs that you're posting, you can post jobs out there, but they cost a little extra money. 99 bucks, I think it is, per post.
A little more than that.
Yeah, it's worth it. LinkedIn is a place for recruiting people. I mean, that's the #1 application, at least it used to be. I think sales is going to outrun it, but right now I'd say recruiting is probably still the #1 app. So these product and service pages can be optimized to a particular product. So what's a business insurance product? Workers' compensation. That's a product page. So there's, from your company page out here, you can have a little click over here to see about workers' compensation. I have an Obamacare consultant, something to do with Obamacare, because those keywords are going to be found in searches. These pages and all this company stuff is found just like on a profile. Is that good? This wasn't there 3 years ago, 4 years ago, something like that. So if someone, for example, had put in that they worked at such and such a golf course 4 years ago, the company pages come out, they're not going to be connected to it because the cart before the horse system. LinkedIn doesn't say, oh, who can I associate with that new page out there? I'll go search out and assign people. You got to pick it from these drop-down lists in your profile to get attached, and it's part of the when you talk about the lessons afterwards and stuff. This is part of the stuff that I don't want to dive too deep in it, but you have to show up on the company page. That's the big lesson there. My employees have to show up there. It's like the company phone directory. If only half the employees were there when you typed in the last name, you know, I'm sorry, please type in the last name of your individual. I'm sorry, they're not here, but they are, but they're not. Same kind of thing. All right? So that's the big lesson number one. Next, we're going to talk about your LinkedIn network. Frankly, this is where the really big power is on LinkedIn. They do some things differently than the other platforms. It's just amazing what LinkedIn does. And they do it right in front of you. So when you connect to folks on LinkedIn, you're connected to a person who has their network and their network. It just mushrooms out. You have different capabilities here to what you can do with people here than here. You know, if you're a member of the same country club, you can do some things. If you're not a member of the same country club, you could still do things, but not all the same things. And when you join these groups on LinkedIn, and we're going to talk about groups, they're like a club, a special interest group. With me? You know what that is? Car club, that kind of thing. Okay. When you join a group, those members of that group all become kind of like a 1.5. So boom, like that, I can have 100,000 people who are interested in golf in my network. I'm going to pick on you here because golf is really easy to say.
No, I'm good with that.
One syllable word. You know, we can shorten the day a little bit because we got short words. If you really want to get more done in a day, short your words. It's a joke that I heard somewhere. You know, we use short words, so we get a lot more done. All right, so network size is always something that comes up. You know, should I connect to all these people? Should I connect to just people I know, or just people in my industry? I'd like to know about, you know, what are the concerns about having a big network, maybe, or at least a network with people that you don't know. I know what you're going to say, but I'll just kind of handle this. Go ahead, Glenn.
I remember 4 years ago when I first saw, or maybe it was 5 years ago when I first saw you guys, the big concern was, well, I don't know them. I'm kind of endorsing them when I connect with them, aren't I?
Well, no, you're not. But I understand why. You know, I mean, you know, if you think about, you know, in another world out there, in the Facebook world, let's say, you know, you don't want to share your life with people that maybe, you know, you don't want to share your life with. I do because, you know, I'm doing it wrong. I've learned more from doing things wrong than doing it right. I connected to everybody I know on Facebook as well. On business, I understand. On LinkedIn, these are future customers. They're not on Facebook. They're not. I mean, I just was seeing what it's all about, and then you get maxed out. How many can you have on Facebook? How many friends?
5,000.
5,000. Do you think it's hard to get to 5,000 in a social environment like that? Not hard at all. You do it in 6 months. Absolutely. But without a lot of effort, just do these 3 things. But do them every day. But just do these 3 things. Okay. Nowadays, Facebook's got some other things going on. Like it'll ask you, do you really know this person outside of Facebook? And if you say no, then you get whacked. I can't be friends with anyone on Facebook for 30 days. I'm down to like 27 now, but I'm slapped. Slapped.
You don't have 5,000 on Facebook?
I do, but they naturally attrition down a little bit. You know, you lose 5 or 10, people get kicked off, or they decide they don't want. But you know, that's 0.005% per day. You know, it's really small amount. I held my high school reunion, my 35th high school reunion, and I invited these whole bunch of people that said they were class of '78, Burnsville High School. They said it right there. Let's be friends. You know, just when I got slapped, a couple of them said, "Oh, let's not be friends." Are you kidding? I didn't like you then. I don't like you now. Comes that way. I go, well, I got hair and you don't. So, gosh, damn it. Out there. It's really fun. I mean, we're a pretty good crowd here for hair. I mean, we're well above average. Let's take a hair picture, guys. of them aren't this way. Seriously, they really don't. I think my group in high school actually lost their hair more than the average ones, because in 5 years we had some bald guys in 5 years. So, what can I say? It's a concern that I hear all the time, and it depends. I'll tell you, it depends on who you are. If you're the chief executive, or you're a person that people, are expecting there to be firewalls to get to, you got secretaries answering your phone, you're a busy, important person, well, you might connect to your peers and a few other people, but you're probably not prospecting. You're not using it to try to create more business, at least for yourself, because you've got Indians over here that do that. And in your profile, you can say, I'm really, really anxious to be connected with all the people in our industry and stuff, but frankly, you need to talk to my team if you want to talk about these things. Call that number, not this number. You know what I mean? And in your profile, you can say this kind of instructions, who should contact you on. So that's Minnesota. That's Lake Mille Lacs. Anyone heard of that? What, Brainerd International Raceway? No? DIR? That's where that is. I kind of centered it there. So, like I said, you're going to hear concerts and cars, right? Well, you can connect to just anybody, anywhere. Why would you connect to someone from India? Do you think the guy from India is connecting to other people like you? So because through him, I get to you. From him, I get to the guy in San Francisco. From him, I get to the person in New York that I need. So there's reasons to do that, especially if it's not, the affiliate marketer from India. That's quick. Certain job titles are a little better than others, right? If you're, especially when you're dealing with technical talent. And only a few of you here really deal with technical talent. It's this whole special, there's all this offshoring that happens in the technical space. I'm going to tell you that from a sales and marketing standpoint, you do want to be rather liberal. I'll just leave it kind of generic. Rather liberal. The question is, why not? And the answer might be, well, because they're X, Y, or Z. One of the X, Y's, or Z's is they're a direct competitor. You think you might connect to a direct competitor. It could go either way. Depends a little bit on a few things, but generically, the industry is designed on more is better, on the benefit of the doubt, on if I connect with my competitors out there, then I'm closer to their customers. And if I'm good at what I do, that's a good thing. If I'm really bad at what I do, then they're going to come in and take my customers away. So the best thing on LinkedIn is to use it to back you up if you're good and make you incentivized to be better. Because it can show blemishes. You know how that is? I mean, you can do things wrong and be a whole lot worse than having not done them at all. All right, so let's talk about how to build your network. This is, well, how do you do that, right? That was kind of generic talk there. Business cards are a really great spot to start. Agree? I mean, if you have a business card, let me do my little analogy. I'm going to introduce you to someone over here. Feel that?
I do feel.
For a moment, we're connected through a piece of paper that's less than a couple inches long. I mean, that's physically, you can keep that.
Thank you.
So business cards are great because you can always say when you're inviting someone, got your card here. I meant to invite you then, but gosh, let's not lose the chance now. Something like that. Because when you have a card, they think, I might meet this person again someday. I better not say no. You never want to say no to someone and then go meet them. I'll meet you at a conference, but I don't want to connect to you online. It's like there's something disconnected in that environment, just a little bit. So the best things to think about are, what's the hook that this person's going to have in terms of what's going to cause them to want to say yes on the invite. It isn't about always selling my company and all the value and everything, just what's going to get you to say yes on the invite. Because once you do say yes, then you can put a thank you message out. So, thanks for accepting my invite, and that's when I can say, by the way, this is what we do. We've got this thing coming up, the tournament coming up, or there's folks from folks in my region you might want to meet. These are folks that you might want to meet. A thank you message, when you say thanks for the invitation, by the way, here's some people I thought you might benefit from knowing, people that I can recommend to. Now, whenever you're doing messaging in the LinkedIn space, you can put links in. You know what I mean by link? What goes at the beginning of a link? What funny stuff? HTTP://, right? Okay, get that underlined. HTTP://. Not www dot. When you're putting links into LinkedIn in your messages, you got to do it with that HTTP stuff. Okay. On the other end, they can click on it at that point. And there's certain places where you can actually make www work on LinkedIn, but as soon as someone forwards it or likes it or anything, the links are gone at that point. So just always stick with that. And you can search for people. You put words in. Have Microsoft solution provider. You know, insurance buyer. It's not really what, but whatever those words are, right? And then invite them. And when you invite somebody on LinkedIn, you got to say something. You don't say, "Invitation to join my network." Can you see that one? Or, "Since you're a person that I trust," right? "Since you're a person that I trust." I've never met you. I don't even know how. If I turn my eye, I couldn't even spell your name. But since you're a person that I trust. Yeah. And then you get a little dash in front of your name down there. Where do we ever have a signature line that starts with a dash? Only in LinkedIn. So people can tell when you're using a canned response. They've seen it over and over and over again. A canned response, canned invitation gives a can, gives a no one follows up on that stuff. So a nice custom message, on the other hand, does get a, I better go see who's calling. And when they see who's calling, they're looking down there, seeing your beautiful profile with your call to action and all the reasons that you might want to do business with me if you're this kind of person. If you're not, you know, you clearly, you don't want everyone to call and only to find out that you're not the right person. You want your profile to help you filter out who should call and get them really to call and be happy. And let the folks that really, you're just going to waste my time and yours if you call and filter them out. Maybe even tell them where to go. LinkedIn and a lot of these other programs have got little tools to help jumpstart stuff. Have you seen a click here and all this stuff's going to happen? Especially when you go to first join, or every so often you'll see this popped up. And one of them is to have LinkedIn, like, look at your Outlook and your Gmail and invite people. Has anyone seen that? Has anyone done it?
Kind of.
What was your experience like, Glenn?
I was surprised to find that a lot of people that I invited didn't appreciate it.
And that surprised you?
What, they were already, they were already on LinkedIn?
Unlike you, Karen, they didn't know me that well. So
Or they did.
They're not on LinkedIn, and they didn't even they
weren't there.
That
That was the big problem I had, was so many people weren't on LinkedIn, and they got frustrated because they had to join LinkedIn in order to answer the email, and it just kind of frustrated them.
Those people are really bummed too that they had to get email addresses to return emails to people too. By the way, yeah, I have a little story. I'm waiting to hear other stories first. You said you've done it?
Well, I've done it just, you know, and then ended up inviting those folks that were already on LinkedIn. I didn't send it out to people that weren't members.
Okay.
And, you know, I've had some pretty good.
Well, you see the difference there. They're in this bucket instead of this bucket. This bucket. Okay. Well, so they're in this bucket. Well, you know, I'll share my experience. Well, actually, Lori did this as well. We did it with my dad. My dad got on. I'll use my dad as a third party. Okay, third party. My dad's a retired physician. He's in a walker now. You know, like I said, I'm kind of caregiver and stuff. But you know, Dad's really into reading the Wall Street Journal. And you know, I go on Saturday mornings and go down to the store and get it for him. Here you go, Dad. It's like, oh God, thank you so much. got my paper. Little things really excite people at that age, don't they? It's like, oh, really great banana. It's just like, oh my God, he's having. Oh my, this banana is so good. It's like, Dad, oh my gosh. What little things we take such solace in. Well, you know, Dad follows. He knows I'm in the LinkedIn business, you know, and he's seen me like this a couple times. You know, when he was actually pretty perky, you know. Well, we decided, or we didn't uncheck the box. Lori set my dad up on LinkedIn and did the little. In my dad's case, it's AOL.com. Now, how far back could that go? I remember I had a modem on Dad's computer. Well, Dad invited all of these stockbrokers who've been hounding him over the years and had given up hounding him and stopped calling.
Oh.
Gosh, it took years to get him to stop calling, and now Dad's inviting him on LinkedIn. And his profile looks spiffy. In fact, his profile says he's still engaged in a lot of things. Dad is not engaged in anything but really enjoying a great topping on cereal in the morning and reading his Wall Street Journal on Saturdays. I mean, really got him interested in TV a little bit. But nonetheless, you know, God, I hate that LinkedIn thing. You've been teaching people to do that stuff. You're teaching them that. You know, Dad, you just, you know, I'm sorry, or we're sorry, we pushed the wrong button. So I have a personal interest in this story in terms of telling you this. If it were me, and I was a couple buttons away from it, because I have to go all the way up to the edge and grab screenshots for the hands-on training, you know, so we can show it on the deal. And I'm one button away from inviting the lawyer for my ex-wife. Prosecutor, or who, I mean, just like all kinds of people in my outlook that I don't want to invite just as well. And you may as well. And these tools, you think that you're going to get are like, are you sure? Or choose which ones. And only in some cases is that true. For the most part, it's not true. Welcome, by the way. I'm Mike.
Jared.
Gary?
Jared.
Jerry. What are you into, Jerry?
What am I into?
Jared.
Jared?
Yeah.
You're like a football player, huh?
I do.
Yeah, Jared. Does that sound like a football player's name? Jared Jet. Watch it. What are you into?
What am I into?
Yeah.
Helping people and making money.
A financial kind of guy?
Networking kind of guy.
Okay, all right. Financial, do you have issues in your business about compliance and stuff, or are you more of a free reiner, sort of like?
Free rainer.
Okay, well, I don't have to worry about the sales prevention department,
No.
you know? Let's talk, let's keep moving. I always think that you should start with the lowest hanging fruit. You know, people you already know. Gosh, I haven't seen you in a while. Those are golden people. If you've held on to business cards from the past, I've got cards from, well, many of, well before the days of email. Okay. And I don't know why I kept them, but it was just, it's a tub. The A's and the B's and the C, I mean, just them up. So if I could literally go back to folks from '85, my IBM rep from '85, and say, gosh, do you remember me? Now, where would my IBM rep from 1985 be in his career path right now, assuming he's not retired?
Consulting.
Pretty high-end guy probably now, right? He's got how many more years experience? How many more, however more years experience I have, he has, but he's been starting from there, and I was down here. I was just a little guy plugging cards in computers. Special screwdriver right here, just like that. 5 screws on the back of a PC. I'll tell you a story how I got my first job sometime if we have time here. It has to do with the 5 screws on the back of the PC, so we'll start. People from the past are a great one, and you can do that by searching your old jobs. There's ways to go out to, you know, a company. I worked for CompuCom from '96 to '97. I can go find those folks on LinkedIn. They'll set it up, and he'll invite the people that I used to work with. Now, my old manager at CompuCom from '96 is now a regional director at Dell, and he's been there for 25 years. They got a few sales reps over there. You know? At those times, in those old days, I was the guy, I mean, he would have been a reference for me, and now I'm going to go back to him how many years later? They're pretty good. I've done that, by the way. This isn't like I'm going to. I've done these things, actually. And people we see today. You know, who are you hanging out with today? Those are the business cards that are on your table now, instead of the ones that are tucked in the drawer. Okay? That's an easy way to start. Okay. So these kind of folks, right? I like this last square. This last one means the most, right? If I go through my bunch of friends in the world, all my friends nowadays at least, I don't have kids in school, so it's a little different. They come from business. I met Lori on LinkedIn. Glenn, my relationship to Glenn, I love that. it's because of this stuff.
You actually friended, you accepted his,
You know, I did a generic thing. I got that invitation to join your network, and I go, he's not so bad. Not so bad. Not so bad. This is kind of what happens. You become, nowadays, life's short, and we become friends with the people we do business with. Or we do business with other people because they're more fun. It's the same price, but I get Jarrett or I don't. You come with it. And, you know, not to diss this, there's a whole lot to be had in terms of the person sitting next to you at church that you always were kind of wondering what they did. You know, those are powerful, powerful connections. Whenever you got your kids involved, my kids and your kids, oh gosh, it goes fun. Alumni is huge. Depends on the school. I went to Arizona State University. Not huge. Alumni there just, you know, we talk about, you know, party days stuff when we see each other and stuff, but it's not like Michigan. Spartans are just unbelievable fellow alumni. If you went to certain schools that were the school pride was really a big thing. By the way, it works for your children too. We have kids that might be going to school, coming out of school. I have a great story that I tell. It's about 10 minutes long here. I'm just going to jump to the gist of the story. Look around, join the alumni group on LinkedIn and start poking around there and see what you find. You don't have to know these people. It does help if you're going to connect with people and reach out to people that were there about the same time as you. In my case, those are the folks that are they're 53 years old and they're at the prime of their career. I graduated in the year that John Elway graduated, and Dan Marino, and Todd Blackledge. There was the big year for quarterbacks. 5 really big ones. 4 of them are in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, that kind of thing. So, you know, it's best to remember that, because those are the good old days, you know. We weren't getting whomped like we are now. And frankly, many of us don't pay attention anymore, but we remember those days, and in our mind, remember, I was young, and I was thin, and all those things is what people put. I had a whole full head of hair. I do. But still, you know what I mean? When you reminiscing is great. Remember that party at Lemon Terrace Club where the guys jumped off the 4th floor down into the pool, and you go, yeah, it was great. Oh gosh, I need more of you in my life. What are you doing now? How can I do something with you? It isn't long before you want to be around people who've experienced the same things that affected our upbringing. Lori, would you share one thing with me? Just our favorite movie. What's our favorite movie?
Almost Famous?
Almost Famous. Have you heard of it?
no.
Nobody? Anyone at all heard
Oh,
of
you
it?
have to watch it. Yes.
How good was it?
Great.
Well, right up there with Forrest Gump, frankly. Right up there. What's the big story about music in that? Remember?
Are you talking about Tiny Dancer or the?
I'm talking about the Rolling Stone guy who talked about the ages.
Yeah, you tell it, because I don't know.
All right. So the editor of Rolling Stone is this guy, Jan Winter, I think is his name. And he describes in the extras section, he had to have the extras part of it, that when between the ages of like 15 and 24, roughly those ages, when your neurons are like settling in your head, they settle to whatever music you were listening to, and it gets embedded. It's kind of like it hardens in there. And for the rest of your life, that's the stuff that you stick with. We found a great 70s radio station. They're playing the stuff. I'm going like, oh my gosh, you know, Lori, she's like napping in the car. I go, like, this is radio. It gets that way. It gets that way. And reunions really bring that together, by the way. Thanks for your help there, Lord. I'll help you equally well from here on. Payback. All right. So this kind of goes back to this stuff here. Okay? Churches are huge. Lori does the church relationship really, really great. If you wanted good advice on how to do that, see Lori. Okay, but you're going to meet people, right? Gosh, I met you, you know, let's connect. This is the day-to-day stuff. You know, they'll call it ongoing. The best folks to meet and to hook up with are people of influence. Now I keep that kind of generic. That could be the buyer, the one person who turn you on to buyers, people that can take you places. And influence for some is different than influence for others. In my case, influencers are people who deal with making hiring decisions for sales teams, or for the most part, improving sales performance. They got a budget, you know. If you want to sell something that's got a budget attached to it. So they don't have to take money from over there and apply it over here. You know what I mean? There's social media budget nowadays, and there didn't used to be. It used to get pulled from the marketing budget. Now they have actual budget for these things. The other thing is peers. And especially if you move up, executives want to connect with executives, want to deal with people who understand their issues. Darn, I've got a renegade manager in a branch office. That's where an executive wants to talk to a peer. These peer groups are all over. Have you seen where, you know, these mastermind groups and peer groups and stuff? They're all over. LinkedIn is a great way to find these sort of folks. You know, I've got a management issue. Can I run it by you? Managers want to meet other managers, because guess what? The management structure isn't one that's very safe. Do you think that the managers have got their profiles all set to go, their resumes all set to go, because the day could come anytime? Now, things are getting better, but they're not. They're certainly not there. So I had talked about finding, or we saw the word find, and find on LinkedIn. In one case, it's just keeping your eyes open, because there's people everywhere when you're out there. You're just one click away from seeing them. But when you get to the point where I'm going to get something specific I want, it's called searching. And the world of LinkedIn is one of lots and lots of stuff, filtering it down to the few that we really matter about. So searching on LinkedIn is a matter of filtering, starting from all of the stuff and filtering out the ones we don't need, put the ones we do need, then figuring out, oh, you know what, jettison them, because generally we want to have, in searches, we're looking for about 20. 150 people, that doesn't work. I'll take 20, I'll go back and get 20 more, but people generally don't want to, you know, have this principle, I've got more than I need, especially when you can go back and just get more. So when you're searching on LinkedIn, you're generally start out looking for resources. I'm looking for something, and it takes its form in terms of companies and people. But you're looking for something. You've got to solve a problem I'm solving, or a kind of person I'm trying to meet. At least your clients feel this way. When they're looking for stuff like you might have, they're looking, you're a resource. On your website, you know, what do you have out there on the website that's a resource that someone might 10 tips for holding a golf tournament? What are the 10 things you need to know about Obamacare? You know, tip 1, tip 2, you get 10 days worth of stuff, and then 11th day is the summary. Okay? Those are resources. Someone will be searching on Obamacare help out there and find your story, and then be driven back to your company page, which should show the people at the company. I've talked to you about that before. So, who can help you? What can you do for other people? And the last part, this is where fun, I'll tell you, I make LinkedIn fun and sexy for you a little bit. Interesting people you want to meet. One of my favorite searches, one of my favorite stories here is I took, if you were in the right shirt, Pink Floyd and sales manager. Zip code 55431, Minneapolis. Got 112 or so people. Sales managers into Pink Floyd to see how we do this. Pre-qualify and then find folks that match well to you. Start with the no-brainers. You mentioned Floyd and Floyd. That's a match you got. We got to meet for lunch. Who's buying drinks? I'll buy the first one. It's a matter of layering things, but the interesting people you want to meet. So let me share one of my best secrets. It's not a secret anymore. One of my best tips for how to find interesting people. I just shared part of it, right? What is it for you? Lori's into Mustangs. I'm into Camaros. The Camaros and Mustangs. Camaros or Mustangs. You see where ors and ands come into play. If you had a Camaro in your profile and you had a Mustang in your profile and I go Camaro or, did I do something? I don't know.
We got something going on.
Okay. Well, this is a good you're not supposed to look at the screen for this one anyway. Okay? I'm teaching you what's called Boolean. Have you heard of Boolean before? It's set theory from when you were a kid. I want something that's big and tall versus big or tall. Are the big and tall men shops big or tall?
Always big.
Big and tall. What if you're just tall?
Always just big.
You're included.
Right. So, but and sounds better than or, doesn't it? I mean, and is inclusive. You know? Yeah, we want you and you and you. And in Boolean, it's not. And actually separates and filters more. Or is what adds more. You could be orange or red. And then the other pieces that go on in the LinkedIn search world out there have to do with those words I described, but then, where are they? Because I only deal with Atlanta. You're not selling insurance to folks in Rhode Island, and you might take their business, but you're not marketing or targeting those kind of folks, right? What's the zip code for you? Roughly?
30265.
30265. So here's 30265. And around me here could be, you know, how far around me is that? Do I go out 10 miles? I'll find a certain amount of people. If I go out 20 miles, I'll find proportionally a lot more. What if I went out 100 miles from that zip code? We got the whole space out here. But people might not want to drive 100 miles to go buy insurance. You're best off finding folks that will come less than 10 miles. So here's the zip code you put in with the search for the people that go with what you have. You understand this part? It asks you. It says how far away. And it gives you a little drop down. You know, you get to choose between 10 and 100. Now I might pick my little 10-mile thing. I go over here and make 10 more over here, 10 more over here. Because once again, you only get so many search results. You can only handle so many. You want a really best 20 that you can find. In a sales world, I was always looking. I went through Miller Hyman sales training. You're looking for 20. Did it get hot? Anyway.
I didn't like the connection.
Yeah, I can still see what I got going on here. You can't.
That's right.
Okay. So in the searching world on LinkedIn, you're searching for customers, perhaps. How about partners? That's kind of the big deal now, right? Who's going to help fill my pipeline for me? Partners. Who am I not picked on yet? Christina, you were talking, so I'm going to pick on you.
Okay, go ahead.
Tell me again about what you do.
I do local corporate sales. So basically,
Hotels, right?
Yes. So basically, I'm selling meeting packages and guest rooms, and I do business transit as well.
Okay, so who is a good partner for you? Who would you swap leads with?
Maybe my competition.
Event planners?
Yeah, like Conference Direct and Helms Briscoe and like third parties that plan meetings for big companies.
Okay. So there's a series of words that go with that. You know, planner, banquet, conference, seminar. You could probably come up with a dozen words probably for that, right? We could help. We could all help her, couldn't we?
Yep.
We could go to thesaurus.com and put them in and go find other words. That's what we do. We go to thesaurus.com. And then you just, once again, you just click here and find the words, click here and find the words. And sometimes the opposite words really work well. I'll share a little secret. Don't tell any of our competitors this. I mean, really, you got to keep this quiet. Do we agree?
Yes.
Sure. It's part of the paperwork you sign. I am not. Who said that? I'm not a certified LinkedIn trainer. I'm not an authorized LinkedIn trainer. No such thing. But let's say someone was searching for that. They're going to find me. Because I'm not an authorized trainer. Okay, that's a little secret. The idea of that is what's the opposite of what you're doing. Moral to the story. That's a true story, by the way. I have it there. Go take a look. You'll see other people who've been in the class with me who told somebody. That's why I didn't want that to get out too much, okay? So that is the reason we have. I don't know what's going on with the projector, but I'm going to keep going, okay? So just focus on the message. when you're searching on LinkedIn, we talked about this kind of space out here, right? We also talked about ones, twos, and threes. Remember? You're connected to ones, they have their people, and they have their people. And you've got these groups as well. That's your network. So when you're searching on LinkedIn, for the most part, you're not searching on 225 million records. You're searching on those people, the folks you're connected to, they're connected to, the next one's out, and the folks with groups out there. That's your circle out here. So if you build your circle bigger, you have more things in it. If you put more lakes, we have 10,000 lakes in Minnesota, have you heard? 10,000 places for mosquitoes to like find a way to get into you. It's true that way. But where?
Nope, thank you.
All right. So you mentioned the ones, twos, and threes, and the groups out there, right? So if you keep, and by the way, you connect to one person, you can add 30,000 people to that. Connect to one person. In our case, you connect to Lori or I. How many people would be incrementally added to your network, Lori? 7 million people if you connect to Lori or I. Is that a good trade-off? Do you think there's decision makers in our networks? We're full. But if you invite us and mention the conference here, we'll jettison someone else and put you in. Okay? We'll do that. Huh?
What is your name?
Mike O'Neill. You're going to get my business card. You'll all get that. Okay. I regularly have someone go delete 200 people so I can, incrementally add 200 back in. We have a virtual assistant. Huh?
Don't boot me.
Well, here, let me tell you how do you decide who you're gonna delete, right?
Include me.
Well, it's easier now because you can remove them when you're looking at someone's profile. You can actually remove the connection right there. It used to be really hidden, and it's not anymore. It's got to become a lot easier. Okay, it's almost as easy as unfriending. It's right. It's right by where you would connect or send a message. And a little drop-down box now says remove this connection. Okay. I'm eliminating people that don't have a picture, who have low-level titles. So if you're a hairdresser without a picture, you're gone. Not that I invited a lot of those in the first place, okay? But in the early days, I connected to anybody, anytime, anywhere. I just, building my network, and it really helped me a lot. It really did. It got me going because the twos and threes that brought in were tremendous. Now, on the other hand, when you're searching someone's name, John Thompson, first name, last name, you're searching all of LinkedIn. I say for the most part. Okay? When you're doing keywords and all those kind of things, when you're filtering those ways, you're just within your little network. But if you got a first name and a last name and you go to search, it's going to search, first of all, it's going to search all of the United States. There's a little boxes you can check here or there, it'll click all of the world. And we discover a lot, in Minnesota we do a lot of things with Canada. And Canadians look like us. And names like us, you just can't tell, And so when I go, I can't find her on LinkedIn, can't find her. And I know I got to go uncheck the box that says only the U.S. Well, let's search anywhere. Because then you get Canada. You can't just say U.S. and Canada. I would if it was me. I'd say they'll have a button that says North America. Because we deal with Mexico quite a bit too. Lori's been to Monterey and we went to Mexico City. They're really, really dressy in Mexico City. I mean, I'm underdressed for Mexico City. I do not have a tie. In the middle of the hot summer, they got ties, they got cufflinks. Just amazing how they dress there. So there's business, and it's maybe not, it ain't that way in Cancun. Okay, it's just not. So do you kind of get, when you're putting a name in, you're searching all of LinkedIn, and when you're doing anything else, you're just searching within your little network. Got to remember that.
So if you search,
So you get a business card from someone, you can put in a name, and you're going to find them for the most part.
so what you're saying is, if I understand, just the key words is just those that you have a first connection with?
Ones, twos, threes, and groups. But not the others. And the others is it's mostly others. You might be, this little bit, but, LinkedIn is this big.
Hey Mike, I'm sorry, maybe I'm misunderstanding, but you saying that if I narrow it at all beyond first and last name, is only gonna search where my 1s, 2, 3s, and
For the
yours?
most part, yes, there's a little asterisk always with these things, but for our class here, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Which means, you know, anybody I get a business card from, I can run through the search there. I don't have to worry that my network's not big enough to find you if I've got your name. So, well, I'm pretty good at doing without visuals here.
You are, you're great.
Not having trouble. When you go to LinkedIn now, it looks a little bit like Google. It's got a search box at the top. Remember that little box at the top? It's like a universal search box. You put anything in there, it'll search all this kind of stuff. And it'll parse out your results and say, here's people, here's companies, here's groups. It kind of just groups them together. It's really nice feature. There's probably some software piece that Facebook made that they sold it to LinkedIn or Google or somebody. This is code that they just buy and they plug in, like that little drop-down box kind of stuff. But there's more to it, isn't there? Have you noticed a big fancy advanced search screen with all those boxes all over and stuff? Well, that's where you put, every time you put something in a box, you put one filter in it, another box, another filter. Pretty soon you filter it down like that funnel that had all those black dots, and you got just the ones that you can work with. And to filter it down, you really need to go to the advanced search. You can't use that little cheap box up there and expect to get anything too refined. Doesn't that seem logical, though? Right? You got one box, and it's not where you can put a whole bunch of stuff in there. I mean, frankly, these windows are kind of small, aren't they? You know, it show 20 characters or so? Well, what if it's more than 20 characters? Does it just, like, delete them? That's scrolls, right? So you can see this little bit of this string's this long, and I can see a little bit of it at any one time. What should I do? How do I solve that problem?
Will those little boxes show up on top too? Or is that after you click search?
Well, I'm talking more generically. Okay, you've got a box with 20 characters, and the name, your last name is Rumpelstiltskin, and it's only got 12 characters. So you get to see any 12, and you kind of scroll as you add stuff, you know, the window shines over here. But if you do this stuff in Word, if you do it in a word processor, now you've got a backup of it, by the way, in case you ever mess up, and there are places where you will. Copy and paste from Word into there. And when we're copying and pasting from Word into our profiles, we can grab things other than just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and 1s, 2s, 3s. There's these little diamonds and brackets and kind of cool stuff that you can copy and paste as well. Music notes. Go to my profile, grab a music note. Control C. Go to your profile. Control V, and now you have music notes in your profile. So I like the ski diamonds. I use those as bullets. They just look real elegant, and I got a Colorado tie to me, you know, kind of Colorado guy. You know, Pink Floyd bullets there. There's a little triangle, solid triangle, that's really great in profiles to put call to action. In fact, my little triangle in my profile says, call me at this number or this email. You know, you wouldn't put lots of those because you don't want lots of call-outs. From a marketing standpoint, you usually say, I want them to do this one thing, right? I want them to call this number. I want them to do this. You don't have multiple stuff if you're trying to get their behavior going. So those are just some examples. Now the advanced search stuff out on LinkedIn, the big field I'll point out, there's a couple big fields. The keyword field, we talked about that, right? You got all these boxes all over. And the zip code field. That my little exercise of the 10 miles in the zip code here. And the keywords. Okay, so those are the big aha places there. So when you're researching a client, which is what one of the central points of the sales version of this class is about, is, you know, darn it if I'm not going to pick up a phone and going to call someone, or they called me. They called me. Okay? So Lori would know this. I stall a little bit. I almost ask him, how do you spell your name, Mr. Krasinski? Okay, I write it down, and while I'm talking to them, I've got a LinkedIn window open, and I'm typing in Mr. Krasinski. And I'm looking at their profile for stuff that I can use. Stuff that, you know, I might comment on. I see golf, I'm going to mention it, right? I see cars, I'm going to mention it. I see that the cause is American Cancer Society. You know, she's a volunteer at American Cancer Society. I don't have cancer, but I might mention that. You know, gosh, you know, my family's been devastated by cancer. I'm Aunt Gertrude. But you're looking for things that they find noteworthy, things that bring you together, you know, those sorts of things. It's called research, and you do it on their profile. The sections that you want to look at, first, it's called above the fold, the stuff you don't have to scroll to see at the top. Now, when you're looking at their profile, you're going like above the fold, that's great, right? Now you'll be thinking, I should go to my profile and make sure my above the fold looks good. Not just how you look at other people, it's, you know, now how do you compare? Right? Well, there's some gems buried down below. It's the interest section. I'm gonna present to you the interest section. That's where the hiking and biking stuff, or in my case, Mr. Piat, for instance. You know, John Mellencamp is there as well. You might be surprised to find that Sade is there. Best concert I ever went to. I had a great date. Really helped. Yeah. But there's, you know, and gosh, if someone else isn't, I heard that, oh, kind of thing. Well, gosh, you know, I see Sade somewhere else. I go, well, you misspelled something. You know, who's Sadie? I know better. But most people don't. Most people don't. So beyond the things that I talked about there, when I'm researching people, I look at the groups they belong to. Lori belongs to the Mustang enthusiast group. I belong to the Corvette owners group. No longer have a Corvette, but you know, doesn't mean I can't talk Corvettes with the best of them. It was a 70 350 horse 350, 4-speed red. You saw it. Saw a picture of it. Corvettes are kind of owned by people who have a little bit more money, generally. Ferraris especially. I don't know if you're into Ferraris. I don't have a Ferrari story to tell other than, you know, I love them. But I do have a Corvette story. Corvette people like to talk about cars, and pretty soon that flips to something else. Most folks nowadays have put stuff in their profile in the interest section. So go look down. It's about 2/3 of the way down, right below their education and stuff. So I thought I might share with you what it's like to invite someone, to go over some language. Do you wonder what to say when you invite somebody? You know, what do I say, darn? How do I? Got that?
Yeah, how do you?
Well, there's two buckets. I know you or I don't. Let's just, you know, cut the baby in half. You know, I know you. Well, we're going to reference how. And gosh, wasn't it fun back then? Remember those great old days of I Omega Bernoulli boxes? Remember that? Remember we were young when we went to the brand new, that new band called REM was just coming out. Okay. Now, that's easy, isn't it? I know you can reference back to something, but if you don't know somebody, that's when we're going to do this research that we talked about. I think the best way to invite somebody is to mention something personal. You know, they know you're a business. It's a business platform. Doing business on a business platform does not stand out. In LinkedIn, you want to fit in. Got your keywords in there, so, you know, gosh, I get caught up. You want to stand out, so you get selected from the group. So I get caught up in the searches. They're searching for Obamacare advice. And there's pages after pages after pages of people with Obamacare advice. Who's on page 1? You know, the same principles that apply with Google apply for the most part within LinkedIn, but there's a difference. In Google, how long does it take to figure out if what you did took? Did it matter? Does Google care about that? Now, weeks or months can go by, and then you got to wonder, well, of all those things that have happened, which one was it? There's no tit for tat. There's nothing like that. Lori can get you onto page 1 within 15 minutes for the searches you want to be in. There's ways that you put words here and here and here that weight higher. The title of a blog post is weighted higher than the last paragraph in the blog post. Similar things with your profile on LinkedIn. So your profile on LinkedIn with the job titles is a great place to get some good keywords in. And you can put in I'm a consultant, comma, space, executive, comma, space, comma, space. You can have multiple keywords in there. You can just type in what you like. So there's one category. I have my position, and I have all these things that my position does. Beautiful. I've taken a different approach, and maybe you can learn a little bit from this approach I've taken. I do that as well. But all those little things that my job does really are separate jobs. I'm not a writer and a blogger, I'm a writer and a blogger. There's the writer job, and there's the blogger job. Blogger words, writer words, sales consultant words, as opposed to a person that has only so much space, I got to divide it up. You know, when you have one call to action with the newsletter says do this sort of stuff. If you're the person that does all of this stuff and they're seeing all these things you do at one time, they're going to think that you're too diluted. You know, you can't be good at all that stuff. So I'm good at this job, and then here's another job, and here's another job, instead of a job that does 3 things. That's a little secret that I have.
So how do you do that, Mike? Because I know that we can't.
Add another job. They're parallel jobs. They could start on the same date, but they don't have an end date. If you don't put an end date in, it's called a current job. And current is what really people matter the most about. Any questions on that? I went into profiles a little bit.
So you list yourself as Mike O'Neill, writer, Mike O'Neill, blogger, and Mike O'Neill, sales?
The job titles say blogger, comma, space, writer, comma, space, contributor, comma, space, editor. That's my job title in that category. In the, we developed...
In the category, or are we listed on?
It's a job description. It's called the job description field. And it's a heavily weighted field. If you put words in there, they mean twice as much or more as words that mean elsewhere. This is how Lori gets people onto page 1 very quickly. Okay. Giving away the company store here. Yeah.
Okay. Like for myself, I'm a business owner. Okay. A lot of times now, due to the economy, sometimes you have to add things onto your toolbar. Okay. You know, like maybe internet advertising, different types of jobs that you might have to add on. Is it better to have separate company pages for each of those, or can you have them on one?
Good question. You want to have one company page for the most part with different product and service pages underneath it.
Okay.
You don't want to have to be managing multiple internet properties and have to dilute that. You want people going to one there and list the products and services as your deltas, as your tool belt down here. Unlimited number of pages, by the way. I've seen 30. I try to keep it to less than 10. Right? If it's on one screen, I have to go to the next page. Because the stuff that's on the next page might never be seen. I didn't see the page 2 button. But no, there's more of the story. That kind of thing.
Mike?
So, yeah.
So,
One question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, on the part where
Just kick me. It's okay.
it's too cold to kick you. The part where it says where you don't know someone, it brings up have friend, colleague.
Colleague, classmate, we've done business together.
But I mean, do they see that? Because I don't know you, then you have to enter their email address. I mean, what do you do there?
Great question. Well, first of all, let's step back and say if you've got a spiffing profile that's got the stuff built out like we talked about, you're a more attractive person to connect to. So the principle I'm going to say first of all, it applies to that. You've got a nice built out profile. So when we look at their profile, we get a little scope of where they're coming from. We go look at where we've worked in the past and figure out which of our past jobs best matches up to that. Okay. And you know, if you put in better descriptions out here, you'll look more that way in those job titles and stuff that I mentioned.
Like,
People
so we're all
want
members
most
of the
us.
chamber, let's say. Should we add that as a job and then say,
Cha-
as a fellow member of the chamber, I wanted to hook up with you on LinkedIn? I mean,
You know, I don't see people putting chamber members as a job.
right.
well, we should have a group.
Should have a group. Yeah,
So
chambers
then if we're both
inherently
in
are
the same
a
group,
good one to have a group.
Okay.
But you would have it, there's other areas on LinkedIn to put that information. It's called groups and associations. Okay? And it's NEWNAN-COWETA, right? Is it, you know, I got it wrong. I put it in a space, and I didn't find it. So the alternate spellings come to mind for you. O'Neill can be spelled how many ways? Quite a few. 2 L's, just an example. E-A-L, whatever. There's places to put the alternate spellings of stuff in your profile. The summary is one area, job descriptions is another. A lot of places to kind of vary. By the way, my name is sometimes spelled, sometimes misspelled. Boom, 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 boom. And Noonan Kawita would be one. Noonan space Kawita. Newman might be a common misspelling. You'll get extra web traffic too, by the way. People who weren't looking for you will serendipitously arrive on your profile, and you know, some of those folks will be good leads for you. So we've done business together is the option. Colleagues, classmates, friend, other, we've done business together is the one to choose. And
Even if you haven't.
Even if you haven't, right? This is a business development environment. They may not remember it. Oh gosh, I must have slipped by me. You know, if you go back in time far enough, you'll find out that they burned enough brain cells off that they'll legitimately say that. You know, gosh, I didn't know that. So, I was in the telecom business. I was in the co-location business. I was never in the insurance business, so I can't say that. But I can, you know, from there I just tie back to one of those things. And by the way, I have a job that's called a blogger. A job that's called this or that. I could pick one of those as well. But that's the handy dandy one. And especially if your title is called sales rep, they're less inclined to want to say yes. If you are a business development consultant, you'll do better with that. If at all you knew that saying friend, where I say friend, and then I explain in my thing sometimes that, well, you know, I want to be your friend. Don't be shy about that. But you're at the spot. That's the question, and that's actually they'll call us and say, I'm stuck. What do I do here? And first question I say is, how built out is your profile? If your profile doesn't look great, then that, you know, I was a sales rep at Quest doesn't inspire people to, you know, do that. The bet's off in that situation. All right, so you have certain things. If you're connected to someone on LinkedIn, you can do these things, and if you're not connected, you can do different things. Do you think you get more when you connect to somebody, that upgrades you in status with them? It does.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, when you connect to someone on LinkedIn, you can pretty much have unlimited communications to one another. All the messages you want, back and forth. We're like IMing almost, you could say. But if you're not connected to someone on LinkedIn, it's a different story. You got to go through someone. Have you heard of introductions? Yeah. You know, that's one way, right? You got to go through someone. Has anyone heard of something called InMail?
Yeah.
What is it? What's InMail?
Email through LinkedIn.
Yeah, you gotta pay an
You have to
upgrade.
pay extra for it.
Yeah, key point, right? Yeah, InMail's not for everyone, right? InMail. You
I
have.
don't think I have that. I have the $10 month.
Oh, you do? Yeah,
I don't have
really.
that, because I
Yeah,
don't need that.
Yeah.
It's an experiment.
There's another whole world out there.
Upgrading.
Not cheapo. Real cheapos are people who don't pay at all.
Okay, right.
Okay,
So
so,
how many people
you
in
know,
the day?
I'm gonna like put you on queen status here in this audience. Compared to what, right? It's all compared to what?
No, I was just saying, I'm a little cheap one. Just
$10?
regular, no, I don't even have any, I don't even
There
pay
you go.
anything, so. But the
What's a
email,
worse word than cheap?
El Chico.
El Cheapo!
Okay,
You're all
El
El
Cheapo.
Cheapo. That's all right.
I do have a question. Have you seen on the InMail, and I get this with Facebook too, people, you know, I'm not on there all the time, okay? And people will send an email to me through that goes into my message box. And it's like, well, why didn't you read it? Or why didn't you? I'm thinking, I got one place, I got an email address, actually I've got two, one's business, that I would, you know, prefer people to use. I mean, how's your feeling about that?
Let's talk about that, okay? I know exactly what you're talking about. Okay, so When you're connected to someone on LinkedIn, you have two options on how to communicate to them that are unlimited. Unlimited messages and unlimited email communications. I'm going to go down this path, okay? A message on LinkedIn goes from my LinkedIn inbox, my LinkedIn outbox, I guess we'd say, to the LinkedIn inbox over here. That's a message. Never hits the public internet. Key point, never has to go through the spam filter and, you know, all that kind of stuff and wonder if it's going to get over here. It's just all within LinkedIn. It's 100% delivery. You're guaranteed for that message to get there. They're not guaranteed to read it. But it's 100% delivery. It's an important thing. It's a trusted message. Trusted person. We must have trusted each other because, you know, you're not anonymous. We connected on LinkedIn. The other thing to do is to send an email. So in the other hand, and I'll tell you how in a moment. So the email, on the other hand, going over here, goes through this router and this firewall and this filter with this ISP and then over to this ISP. And this one says, I don't like it. It's got too many links that are right there. And it might not get here. It could come to your computer and end up in a junk folder over here. You see what I mean? You know, it's a big deal if you're sending emails to people, especially using tools or commercial stuff, to get it from point A to point B. And then they get, what, a 5% open rate or something like that, right? Because it just generally just pushes down with the other stuff. Okay. So when you click on, when you're going to send a message on LinkedIn, it automatically pre-addresses that message, and you got this text box that you put stuff in. There's no bolding, there's no, but you can do http:// put a phone number in. Okay. If on the other hand we decide we want to email out, it's going to launch our email client, our Outlook, with our fancy signature line, where we can grab an attachment, attach it here, and paste in a picture, send it on off, and maybe not get through the spam filters. But it's a nice value-added thing, and it can have color. Those sorts of things. So you got to kind of weigh back and forth which way I want to do it. So to do such a thing, to send the message, there's a big fat button that just says message. It's right there. You can't miss it. Okay. On the other hand, if you want to email someone, you need to open up the contact screens. There's a little button that says contacts, and you open it, and it opens up this whole bunch of stuff that will have a phone number and an address and all kinds of stuff in there, perhaps. And that's where you click on the email address right there, and it launches your Outlook. So if you want to send an email to someone, you got to go to their profile, you got to open up the contact area, click on the email, and it'll launch your Outlook or your Gmail. A message, on the other hand, is just click the message button, quick and go.
Now that's providing they're opening up their LinkedIn every single day, isn't it? Until you get it.
All right, let's go on the flip side. Okay, so now I'm that person.
That's my concern. Yeah.
LinkedIn can be configured one of two ways. You got a checkbox on or not. Okay. If the checkbox is one way, LinkedIn will actually kick out an email to you. It'll say, hey, there's something in your inbox on LinkedIn. You better go check it out. Okay, it like does both. It sends a message across here, so it's in your inbox, and it says, by the way, you got this thing. Better go check it out. Or you uncheck the box the other way, and you just got to know you got to go there every day, or every week, or whatever. Do you expect someone on LinkedIn to answer a message quickly? How long? Here, who have I not picked on? You're very involved, very involved. Here we go. Or not uninvolved. I've upgraded you to star status. How long would you expect if you sent someone a message on LinkedIn and it looked like they're involved? I mean, it's not an account with no picture that's got 3 connections. Not that. It's a regular person. What's your expectations for response time?
And I'm already connected to them or not?
Yeah, the best of worlds here. I'm doing a best case scenario.
If I'm connected to them, I would expect it like in the regular business world, hopefully within 24 hours.
What do you think about that? About right? Fast-paced world.
I still haven't answered some.
Anyone feel differently? It's okay.
I think I feel it's like a week. I feel like I have a lot of connections that check it once a week.
That's what I was about to say. It depends on how quickly or quickly how many.
Well, this is our best case scenario here. So this is the one where let's if we think that person might be checking daily, then we might have a different scenario, right? Okay. I just wanted to point out that different people have different opinions on this stuff. I would suggest you keep a LinkedIn window open all the time. Do you know how to open an extra tab on your browser? Not an extra browser session, but a tab within the browser we have now. It's Control-T or something like that. Not Control-N. No whole browser session. I know that one. Okay. So always keep it up. Keep it pinned up. You might keep a couple up. Lori and I, how many tabs do you have on a browser, typically?
Now?
Well,
7 to 10.
before one tab.
Before one tab, about 50.
It's not unusual for us to have 100 or 200 tabs on a browser.
Well, we're also active and a lot of the things we do, we might, be looking at a team, for example. So if I'm working with a sales team, I'm gonna go look at all the sales guys. I wanna have their tabs open side by side so I can see how they compare to each other and who's missing what elements. If they're telling the company story consistently, a lot of times, especially when we first get in, we have people who put their own version in, and really sales guys are not really writers, sadly. So, it gives us the opportunity to check that out. And then the phone rings and we don't close them and go on to the next.
Okay. Let me share a secret with you. Okay, Lori and I, you have power user tools, because frankly, if you're going to have 100 tabs on a browser, you're going to have some issues. They either shrink up a whole lot, or you got to go forward all the way out here to find the tab that's all the way out here. It's called one tab. One dash tab.
For Chrome.
It only works for Chrome. But it lets you take all of those tabs and you can shrink them down into a sub-tab, sort of down here. And it frees up all the memory that went with all that, except for a little piece of memory. So it really, all of a sudden, whoo, I got all this extra memory I didn't know what to do with. And, sort of, it's like a bookmarking feature, sort of, almost, in some ways.
Is it free? Yes.
Yeah. That's right. Okay. Yeah, keep a tab open on LinkedIn. I'll tell you, that'll really get your involvement going, because you're already there. You don't have to log in each time and all, you're just always there. Now LinkedIn's really powerful. You can be logged into LinkedIn on your computer, and your daughter over here in Singapore can be on a Mac, and you're on a PC, and you can both be logged into the same account at the same time. If you were to design software, you put those specs together and go out to bid and say, I want to be able to have this and this and this and this and all this happen. 7 people logged into my account from all over the place at one time. They go, you're crazy. And LinkedIn does that out of the box. All right, so what are some interesting things to talk about? Well, I already talked about that. We pulled a lot of this forward. Recommendations. Now there's endorsements, right? Endorsements. What were your endorsements? What are your thoughts on endorsements?
It's annoying.
Anyone ever say anything good about it?
Superficial.
Yeah, the problem with endorsements is one thing. It's called the big blue box. Take the big blue box away and you got some value there, because someone would literally have to go there to want to recommend you, and that would mean more. Recommendations now are like, get this damn box out of my way, I'm going to click this box and endorse you, and you get on with it. I know they're bullshit, because 1 in 10 people I even know. What, recommending my good-looking profile is not, you're endorsing my profile. They're endorsing me for things that they don't even have any business with. But LinkedIn, on the other hand, is looking at it as, well, these are the kinds of things that this person is involved with, so we can better target ads to that person if we knew more of the stuff they're into. It's part of a thing called big data. Have you heard of big data? That sounds like simple words, right? Did I say we use small words here, so we get a lot more done, right? We could have called it responsive analytics, but big data sounds better. That's what it really is. So LinkedIn knows a lot about your activity, what's going on, where you click, what you like, how long you spend on a page, what kind of stories you read, what the sentiment is of the kind of things you do. And they're better able to target things to you. As a user on LinkedIn, you're using big data. You're a big data user. Did you know that? You can put the word big data in your profile now and say, you know what, I'm a user of big data, because I'm a LinkedIn user. Because you are. These filtering things that you do are all applications of that. LinkedIn uses a version of this, on the other hand, to help target ads and stuff. If you pay per click, if you pay for the ads out on LinkedIn out there, It's really accurate. Because they know so much about you. They target stuff that's just amazing. Now, we did an ad campaign on LinkedIn, paid for clicks, or that PPC. It's expensive, $5 on up on LinkedIn. And the ad we put up said that we're doing a workshop in California. And the ad said, we're doing this workshop in California. Come here, it's $100. And you had to click on the ad to find out more about it. $5 just to find out if we were even in your town, if you were even available that day. Here's my big tip in doing ads. Make sure that only the people that click on that ad are people that you want. So the next version of the ad said October 23rd, San Francisco. And only people that want to go, that are available in San Francisco on the 23rd are going to click on it. I'm only going to pay $5 for those people. I'll pay $5 for anyone who clicks on it, but most people aren't going to, I'm sorry, I'm in Portland, I don't care about that. So there's a little tip, that's a tip, by the way, for Google or anywhere. Okay, and you can do that in a graphic, by the way. You can say in the graphic, little thumbnail, it says September 23rd, so California doesn't have to say September 23rd in California because it's handled in the graphic. Okay. Yeah, I'm with you on endorsements. I think they're not very useful. I haven't found anyone who thinks they're useful other than maybe someone who works for LinkedIn who's going to like to say, well, everything we do is good. Well, recommendations are different, aren't they? They have, you don't recommend people you don't know, generally. People you don't know will ask if you'll recommend them, and they'll say, will you recommend me? But I don't know. Muhammad, I'm sorry, I don't know you. Khalil, I don't know you. Sally, it doesn't have to be anyone from over there, but don't recommend people that you don't know. But if you do know them, let's talk about that. So that's the don't, the do part. But if you do know Glenn, and you work with Glenn, that means something. So let me tell you what a good recommendation looks like. First of all, it's 3 to 4 sentences. 3 to 4 sentences. A little paragraph. Like that. Nice short sentences. They might describe a project, something that has numbers. Glenn, from 2007 to 2009, Glenn handled 44 territories for us. Always at the top of the heap. A number and a digit, not just O-N-E, but the number 1. Visually, this stuff springs off. You can glance at numbers that are number numbers as opposed to O-N-E and T-W-O. Makes it easy for people to glance. And in that recommendation is from Glenn, and boom, you go right to Glenn's profile. Everywhere is just one step removed. If your name comes up anywhere, click on it, because almost everywhere you go, a name takes you somewhere. Just about everywhere. So, I would suggest 10 to 20 recommendations. You build it up over time. After you get to them, then you're on a trickle mode. But try to get 10 to 20. And you're going to have to ask for twice as many. If I want 10, I'm going to have to ask for 20. Because some of those folks don't check in but every week, and frankly, they're timid and they don't respond, and it's a big deal for them to accept an invitation, then again to actually write a recommendation, because they don't know how to do it. But if you would recommend somebody else, you've taught them how to recommend you back, haven't you? Because it's a project we did together. And once they go to accept that recommendation, it says, guess what? Would you like to return the favor? So if you want 10 to 20, you could start out by saying, well, there are 10 or 20 people that I can recommend. Start there. Start with folks. By the way, it'll open up all kinds of doors. Anyone who recommends me, and I've got 300 plus, Lori's got 300 plus, we've got over 500 recommendations between us. Anyone that comes in, even still to this day, thank you. It's a personal thank you from us. And we look at their profile and all. You could, I couldn't recommend you other than to say you're a good student, and that's not a good thing. But you feel like you could recommend me. You've experienced my product. So you can't always go back and tit for tat. Okay? I mean, there's some cases. I can recommend Tony Robbins, but he doesn't know who I am. But I might have been in his class and did all kinds of wonderful things for me. So that's not a hint or a tip, but if you want to practice recommending, go for it. When you see Lori, you'll really like her. So you'll really want. we have a contest sort of. Lori always wins, she gets more recommendations, more likes, more engagement and all.
I'm better than you.
But I'm number 2, there's only 2 in the race, so I'm number 2. All right, so I'm going to go over a few sales strategies. Sales reps, by the way, love LinkedIn because it helps them, it backs them up. You know, it gives them credibility. If I'm telling you we got the best this and that and this and that, you can go to LinkedIn out here and see, well, maybe what other people are saying, my recommendations, see how polished we are. If you're polished up on LinkedIn, you want to turn the sales process into, well, I think you should check all your vendors out on LinkedIn. Check them all out. I mean, gosh, we use that tool to vet our vendors. You should do the same. I know I look good. I'm all bright up. Probably not. We might not have trained them. So backing you up is one of the things that people, and not just sales reps, everyone on LinkedIn likes that, but you know, sales reps are the kind of folks that are getting checked out a lot. All right, there's different brackets of sales. You've got hunting and sales. That's where I don't have any pre-existing conditions. I'm just totally anonymous. It's a total coldest of cold call is hunting. We don't do a lot of that anymore because we now have tools to make it more comfortable. I'm going to look at your profile, find out that you're into hunting and bow hunting or whatever it is that you do, and it's not quite as cold. But that's called hunting. Farming, on the other hand, over here, is golden for me. Let me work with the accounts I have and just sell them more. Find another division. So if I deal with the regional whip-de-doo president over here in this division, well, there's a regional whip-de-doo president in another division somewhere. Let me grab the job descriptions of the companies, people I'm working with now, put them into LinkedIn and see what else comes up in the same company. So if you go to the company page out there, that's how that happens. I mentioned that all the employees are attached to the company page. We go there, and within that, the employees, as we click on employees, we can search for these things. And I have a nice little, this is where I did have some nice slides for this one. But nonetheless, what I just described, the exact words that they use there are going to be used over here. They have formal job titles. Cisco likes to use terms like regional sales manager, generic words. But other companies have other things. I'm the chief marketing innovation specialist. You can really find other matches on that, but the more obscure something is, the harder it is. So there's a little tip there on how to farm. Do you think you can do that? That's pretty easy. You've already got a champion. You've already got someone who would say nice things about you because, well, if you don't, you've got a different problem, right? The guy I'm selling to better like me, or I'm not going to reference him to other people and say, hey, the guy doesn't like me, go ask him about me. You got to shore that up a little bit. Partners, it works really great with partners as well. So if you have a partner that's this kind of company, let's find other partners that are kind of like that. So that's the same thing. If this partner out here, what else goes well with it? I'm from the technology space, so if I was selling servers and hardware, computer stuff, you can touch and feel. Very often this was sold with a circuit for internet or a circuit for the phone system or something else that goes with it. You can't touch the software in it. You know, hardware doesn't work without software. Business applications that go with this. Think of all the other things that go with what I sell. What else are they buying? Who sells that? How do I engage them using the techniques I just told you? When they buy my stuff, what else are they buying? And who are they buying it from? That's one of the best tips I have for you in the whole day. Things lead up. All those little searchy things lead up to this. Let me find more people like the ones I'm working with, using LinkedIn, using the researching tools I did, the interest sections of summaries of profiles of company pages, all that kind of stuff. To engage people in a better way. I'm going to stop there and take just generic questions. And kind of, there's things could happen. We've kind of covered a lot of these things. I find, even if I don't have PowerPoints, I can still go.
Can we share the PowerPoint after?
Yeah, I'll give everyone a copy of the PowerPoint. It'll come to you in a PDF file.
I have a question. You said you advertised, you used the advertising mechanism, and you know, you gave us tips on what to do, but how successful was it for you?
Not.
Not. Was it because of the product, or just because it was, it's just not a good
We had a misstep. Didn't I tell you about our misstep? We
Right.
burned through $250 that quick. 50 people clicked on something that wasn't in their city.
Does
If I
it
can-
connect to
if I
the
can
iPhone?
We ended up not having the class. That's why I say it didn't work. We ended up not having the class, so I can't really go too far.
So you got 50, so you got the clicks, but they were not qualified clicks, is that right?
Yeah, we don't know who they were either.
Right, that's what I mean, you couldn't tell.
What we did was, the subject line matters. So we put the name of the event in the subject line, and people were clicking through to find out what it was about, when, and turned out they couldn't come, or whatever, so we changed it and put the event date and time. That's a big thing to put in the ad, so people don't click. The one area that I've used very successfully, though, for a client is for impressions. Paul Gerard, the Catalyst Resources Group, what they want to do, they go after their UI design firm, user interface design, high-end clients. So they'll go and they target specific companies, or they have specific clients that they already use, and we were able to go in and target those specific companies and the titles of people at those companies, so that if I'm one of their targets and I go into LinkedIn and I see their logo, Catalyst Resources, I may not click through because I already know they exist, but I'm seeing them again. And I'm constantly seeing them. And they started getting comments like, wow, I see you everywhere. You know, so in that kind of an environment, it works really well. In some very specific, other specific environments, it works really well. But it is per click expensive, but it's also more effective than Facebook ads. So there's some stuff to consider. I'll cover ads this afternoon.
The targeting is amazing on LinkedIn. You can say, I just want to see CEOs in
That's what I
in
want
such
to
and such a space. You know, there's going to be less impressions because there's less of those people. So the more you drill down and make it just like this, you're going to have less people that it gets shown in front of, because there just aren't as many CEOs that are left-handed golfers.
I have a question for you. If you can, you know, get that specific, why didn't you just didn't know to put San Francisco as the market, right? Because you were trying to tailor it to be that specific.
We ended up not doing the event, so it's kind of like everything kind of got withdrawn.
Yeah,
Okay.
even before that,
We had to make a decision early on if we're going to do a deposit. Here we go, deposit, right? It's going to cost money at that hotel. We got to do an early count, and because we messed up on the early count, we missed the window to do that.
But you can target that specific. You can say, I want Atlanta, you know, this title in this market, right?
The information.
You can identify specific companies and specific titles. Or you could go general, or you can drill down.
Can you go zip code?
Yes.
You could do zip code.
You could zip code, yeah.
I'll do live demo this
Oh,
afternoon.
good, great. Thank you.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Actually, that's a good part of what Lori does
Okay, good.
in her part.
Thank you.
I'm not one to overshoot my time, but I got like a couple more questions we could do.
Just a quick question, kind of like Nick here. I've been doing the cheapo route, the freebie route on LinkedIn, and you know, I've kind of glanced at the different packages and stuff like that. But in a nutshell, could you tell me, you know?
Sure, it's a good question. In fact, it was actually one of the slides you would have seen, but you will see it. The basic account at LinkedIn for many years was $20 a month. I got a $10 account now. Okay. There's all kinds of other little fragmented accounts. The base account that you might consider is $20 a month, 25 if you pay for a year, you get 2 months free. The big things that gets you is, here's my profile. It gets me this button on my profile that says, send me a message to anybody. We're not connected. Send me a message. We're not connected. Send me a message. As opposed to, send me an in-mail or introduction or all those other things. You do that direct thing. It's like an 800 phone number. You say, call 1-800 da-da-da. It's always there. I can always send you a message at your profile. That's the biggest thing. It's one of the biggest things there. The other things are that you can send messages out, but that's an inbound thing. That's like a big sign that says open. Flashing, really crazy, because everyone can send you a message, and wow, it's kind of neat to have people before had to do these other things to like let them come right on in. You can send messages called in-mails, LinkedIn mail, in-mail messages to people that are further out in your network, 2s and 3s, and kind of shorten the process instead of going through someone to get there, or being involved in a group that they're a member of. I can send them a message right away. And if you spend more money, you get more messages, and they can roll over minutes a little bit. You don't have that at $10. It comes in at 20 or 25, I believe. Beyond that, you're spending money that you're probably, in this audience here, is probably not prepared to spend. You're buying horsepower you're never going to use, things that you know. If you're wondering what to spend, I spent $200, write a check one time, and it locks you in. So as things go up, Lori's locked in at a lower rate than I pay this, and she pays what the pricing was back in 2007. You know, and it's going up. What LinkedIn's been doing is taking away features and saying, you know what, this feature like seeing the full name of a third level connection is gone now.
Unless you grandfathered in what you agreed to when you started paying them all those years ago.
See?
So even though I'm not paying $99 a month, I still have all those features.
Wow.
Which means I am never going to stop. It's on auto pay.
I think you also get like who's viewed your profile maybe,
Yes, that's another one. Yep.
as a $10 service.
You get that.
I think I
That's
get
free,
that.
I still get that.
But they only don't give the
But I
last
think
name
I
all the
get,
time
it gives
now.
you more, it doesn't just say
Yeah.
someone in the whatever industry.
yeah,
they're
yeah.
in. It
Yeah.
actually gives you their name and,
Well, that's determined
That's
by
what
your
I-
settings.
okay.
So what they'll do on the free, they'll give you up to 5 or
Get a
so.
take.
On the paid one, I can see all of them. So I
That's
can
what
go
I-
in once a week
Oh,
and
okay.
scroll back through and see, yeah.
so you're stalking you.
Right, and so on my settings.
I would like your cards if
I
anyone
have
wants
my settings set
to share.
Always show my.
If you want more than one,
profile.
that's fine.
Mike usually has his turned off because he's doing different kinds of business. He does.
What about anonymous? I see people have anonymous on their,
Yep.
maybe my profile. Is there ever an advantage to be anonymous?
I'm anonymous.
I mean, how do you do it?
All right, so in LinkedIn you have a configuration with a bunch of boxes, you know, kind of like a config screen, setup screen out there. And you can choose to surf anonymously, so to say, and it'll just say a LinkedIn member viewed your profile. Or there's an intermediate one that says someone with this title at this company, or it can be, gosh, Lori's shiny face. I do competitive research. I second the motion. When I'm looking at competitors, I don't want to know, and I'm on their profile.
So you go in quick fix?
I'm an anonymous person. Yeah. Lori, on the other hand, is not. She's just the opposite. She wants to like leave her impression because she's doing biz dev stuff, and she wants those folks to know that she's been checking them out.
But you can do it as many times as you want, right?
You can well, actually, the real trick thing is when I'm doing my competitive stuff, I should just uncheck the box, do it, and then check it back up. But I go back and forth between the two so much that the extra 3 or 4 clicks come back. It just isn't. Now, what I could do is have another whole window up. I just solved my problem, didn't I? Have a tab up that just sitting on that config screen and just go toggle back and forth. That would be a kind of a way to do it. With all the windows I have now, I just don't need another one to do that. That I'm not defending my action.
Now, you said you can unfriend or unlink.
Yeah.
Can you block
No.
other people from viewing?
No. All or nothing. LinkedIn, LinkedIn are all or nothing. And if you go to LinkedIn to block people from seeing you, that's counter to why you went to LinkedIn in the
Well,
first
the
place.
whole competitor thing.
Oh, well, let's,
Outsourcing overseas, our competition logs in and steals all our customers.
well, let me describe that. Really good Q&A. By the way, this is part of the more extended version of it. Something has to go, you know, to make the 2-hour window for a TV movie.
Right.
So to say. What you're describing is called sharing your connections. So if you come to my profile and you see 500 plus connections, it stops there. You can click on it and see who those 500 are. Or you can turn that off in the settings. It's a settings button. You poke around, you'll be there 60 seconds and see how to shut off connection sharing. It's called connection sharing. Recruiters do it, some salespeople do it, executives do it, rank and file do not.
Where around here are you going to be offering the extended version of this class?
We're doing today, this afternoon, tomorrow morning, tomorrow afternoon, The stuff that we're teaching is all designed to go complementary with one another. So we'll be repeating some of this in these other sessions we're doing for Glenn, but they're all designed to have a different focus. Like tomorrow morning, I'm talking about big data. I gave you a little bit of an idea about big data.
You're covering it all, you're just covering it in segments.
Yeah, I've got online lessons that handle, you know,
Okay,
the blocking and tackling stuff here. You're all gonna get that. Glenn is gonna give us a spreadsheet. I'm asking Glenn, can you give me a spreadsheet?
Yes.
Of that information so I can load it into the system and let everyone into the thing.
If you did not register when you came in today, make sure that you check with Julia so you're on that list.
And I'll just say too that that list, it's IAU Express, that's the only purpose that we use your name and email for. We haven't added you to a newsletter list or thing, it just gives you access to that IAU Express.
We do coaching and stuff for clients too. We're hireable, if you know what I mean, if you want to do
Now,
anything.
what is she covering this afternoon? Because I kind of didn't quite understand.
This afternoon, Lori's going to cover ways that associations and organizations can create a following and market to their following. How to get members and sponsors. And
So even though it says associations for companies, this would be very good.
Okay, that's what I needed to find out.
It's about marketing. This was about sales for the most part this morning. Afternoon is kind of about marketing plus plus plus.
Okay. So here's the thing. I know that first of all, did Mike do nice?